A very good morning, viewers. Hello and welcome to the morning news show on CNN News 18, where we bring you the latest headlines and insightful stories to kickstart your day. I'm Koina Sharma and let's begin. Now we are opening the bulletin with a breaking input. Donald Trump has surrendered at the Fulton County Jail on more than a dozen charges that have been stemming against him for his efforts to reverse the Georgia's 2020 election results. This is the fourth time of the year where the former president has faced criminal charges against him. Now, Trump has spent a little more than 20 minutes at the Fulton County Jail, where he was processed and released on a bond. Now, the mugshot of Trump was released soon after he left the jail in April. Now, Trump was booked in New York on state charges related to a hush money scheme. In June, he surrendered at the Miami Federal Court to face charges in Special Counsel Jack Smith's probe into the mishandling of the classified documents case. And earlier this month, Trump was also placed under arrest in Washington, D.C. and was arraigned on the charges brought by Smith in his investigation into attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Now, all of those cases could come to a head next year at the same time that the Trump is running for presidential elections. Now, this is altogether a different twist in the entire story of Donald Trump's indictment cases, where Donald Trump has recently surrendered at a Miami federal court, has surrendered at the Fulton County Court in Geneva. Now, Donald Trump has is stated to spend more than just 20 minutes at the Fulton County Court, where he is processed and released on bond. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions that we are getting on this story.
I really believe this is a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election. And I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all.
Well, we are now swiftly moving our focus to Jammu and Kashmir. Well, the political temperature has heated up after Vivek Agnihotri's film, The Kashmir Files, won the Nargis Dutt Award for the best film on national integration at the 69th National Film Awards. Now, while the filmmaker dedicated the prestigious award to the victims of terror, PDP, on the other hand, has slammed the decision and said that how can this move be awarded for national integration when it spreads hate? Now, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah also took to Twitter and mocked the film after it won the award and questioned the category of the award. Remember, the movie is based on 1990 exodus of the Kashmiri Hindus from Kashmir. Now, despite its box office success, the movie was widely criticized by reviewers, politicians and historians who labeled it as a propaganda movie.
ये जो अवार्ड है, इससे मैं हमेशा बोलता आया हूं, कश्मीर फाइल्स कभी मेरी फिल्म नहीं है, मैं तो एक मीडियम था। ये अवार्ड मैं हमारी आई एम बुद्धा प्रोडक्शन कंपनी की तरफ से उन सब विक्टिम्स को समर्पित करता हूं जो आतंकवाद के विक्टिम्स हैं, खास तौर पे कश्मीरी हिंदू, और उसके अलावा पूरे विश्व में जहां भी कोई भी भारतीय अगर टेररिज्म का विक्टिम है, ये फिल्म उनकी आवाज है, ये उनका दर्द है, और ये अवार्ड भी अगर दर्द उनका है तो उन्हीं का होना चाहिए। ये नेशनल अवार्ड हम उनको समर्पित करते हैं।
I, on the behalf of entire Kashmiri Pandit community, congratulate Vivek Agnihotri for winning the national award. He dared to bring out the truth of Kashmir. He dared to put our story out in front of the entire world. It's a well-deserved award, and it tells us the truth always triumphs.
Well, the controversy over this movie refuses to die down, and we'll continue to track this story as the day progresses. Now, swiftly moving our focus, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi has sparked a row with his statement on Muslims. Taking a swipe at the central government, Rahul Gandhi has said that the Muslims and the people of Manipur are under attack in India. He further said that the style and the attitude of the saffron camp is not good at all. Now, he further added that BJP has captured all the institutions and claimed that BJP will be defeated in the upcoming 2024 Lok Sabha polls. Now, Rahul Gandhi is in Leh ever since last week and has made this statement while interacting with the youth in Kargil.
Muslims are under attack in India. This is not wrong. But you must also realize that there are many other people also under attack in India. Okay? Please look at what is going on in Manipur today. For 4 months, Manipur has been burning. Right? So you must not think that you are the only people under attack. All sorts of... Yeah, it is happening. Of course it is happening. But it is happening to Muslims, it is happening to other minorities, it is happening to Dalits, it is happening to tribals, right? Because it is the attitude and the approach of the BJP. And this is something we are committed to fighting. And you are very well aware that myself and the Congress party are at the forefront of this fight.
Well, we are swiftly now moving our focus to the much awaited and much looked upon meet of PM Modi and Xi Jinping. Now, amid the standoff of the LSC, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to China's President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Johannesburg. Now, according to the Ministry of External Affairs, Prime Minister highlighted India's concerns on the unresolved issues along the LAC. He underlined that the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas and observing and respecting the LAC are essential for the normalization of the India-China relationships. Now, earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi and the Chinese President shook hands and greeted each other ahead of the BRICS leaders' briefing. Now, both the leaders were shown interacting briefly on the stage. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now in Greece, where he will have multiple high-level engagements during his long stay, including the bilateral summit-level talks with the Greece Prime Minister. Let's take a look at some of more reactions.
In a conversation with President Xi Jinping of China, Prime Minister highlighted India's concerns on the unresolved issues along the LAC in the western sector of the India-China border areas. Prime Minister underlined that the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas and observing and respecting the LAC are essential for the normalization of the India-China relationship. In this regard, the two leaders agreed to direct their relevant officials to intensify efforts at expeditious disengagement and de-escalation.
Now, moving our focus to down south, where the dispute over the Cauvery River continues, and the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear the plea filed by Tamil Nadu government demanding the release of Cauvery River from Karnataka dams. Now, this comes after the Karnataka government yesterday submitted its response to the Supreme Court contesting Tamil Nadu's claims. Now, while the Tamil Nadu government is seeking a direction to Karnataka to release water for the remaining period of the month, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah reiterated that the petition filed by the neighbouring state is not maintainable. Now, the affidavit has also highlighted Karnataka's pressing water needs. Now, the dispute centers around the allocation of water from the Cauvery River, which flows through both the states and has long been a point of contention between the states.
We had all-party meeting regarding Cauvery water dispute. Karnataka we'll argue the matter.
ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ತಾನೇ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಇವತ್ತು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ. ನಮ್ದೇನು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನೀಗ ಹೊಸ ಬೆಂಚು ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಕಾವೇರಿ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಏನು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಳಲಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಹಿತವನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ರೈತರ ಹಿತವನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೀಗಾಗಲೇ ಇವತ್ತು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
Now, the top court is all set to hear the case on the Cauvery water route today itself. We will be tracking this story as the day progresses. Now, swiftly moving our focus to Himachal Pradesh, where heavy rains and massive landslides continue to wreak havoc in the state. Now, 4 patients are now found in critical conditions, were airlifted after 8 multi-story residential buildings collapsed on Thursday morning in Kullu district following a heavy rain which triggered landslides in the region. No loss of life has been reported in the entire incident, and due to incessant rains, the strata have loosened in the region, which has resulted in the collapse of these buildings. Now, SDM Naresh Verma of the Ani subdivision has reached the spot to take stock of the situation. Remember, the Kullu district administration had declared the buildings unsafe and given notices to the occupants to vacate the buildings last month itself following heavy rainfall in the second week of the July. Let's take a look at some more reports.
हमारे पास एक ब्रेन हेमरेज का केस यहाँ पर जोनल हॉस्पिटल कुल्लू में था, जिसको चंडीगढ़ के लिए रेफ़र किया गया था, और लेट नाइट 2 और पेशेंट्स जो काफ़ी क्रिटिकल कंडीशन में थे उनको भी चंडीगढ़ के लिए रेफ़र किया गया था. इसलिए क्योंकि रोड जो है वो हमारा सारा रोड एक्सेस अभी ब्लॉक्ड है. कंडी कटोला वाया कंडी कटोला भी ब्लॉक्ड है और नेशनल हाईवे भी ब्लॉक्ड है. तो इसलिए हमने एयरफोर्स से हेलीकॉप्टर की मदद मांगी थी, जो अभी भुंतर में लैंड कर गया है. और अभी 4 पेशेंट्स को, लेटेस्ट एक 9 साल की बच्ची जो डायलिसिस पे है, उसको भी चंडीगढ़ के लिए रेफर कर दिया गया है.
While moving our focus, after days of anticipation, India's chess prodigy Pragnathan incredible journey came to an end after losing to Magnus Carlsen in the final showdown at the FIDE World Cup on Thursday. Now, after 3 days and 4 games of intense chess across 2 formats, Magnus finally managed to win the FIDE World Cup for the first time in his career. Now, Pragnathan the 18-year-old teenager prodigy dragged world's #1 Magnus Carlsen through to the tie-breaker section after 2 classical games ended in a draw. Now, Pragnathan was not only becomes the youngest World Cup finalist ever, but has also become the 3rd youngest player after the legendary Bobby Fischer and Carlsen to qualify for the candidates tournament that is scheduled to be hosted in Canada in 2024. Now, CNN News 18's Shivani Gupta spoke exclusively to India's chess prodigy after a nail-biting tiebreaker at the FIDE World Cup. Let's listen in.
Thanks a lot for speaking to News 18 and many congratulations. How do you feel? Was that a tense, exhausting final for you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's of course exhausting event, and I'm happy that I made it to finals. And yeah, today didn't go my way, but overall I think I played well, and qualifying to the candidates is the main thing.
Could you describe a little bit more of how that final went for you? The 2 classical games, you managed to draw them. That in itself, do you think is a big achievement for you? And what happened later in the rapid?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a big achievement drawing 2 classical games, but yeah, I could have maybe tried a bit better in the tie breaks. But yeah, it's tough to play Magnus. Like he's of course strongest player in the world.
So, especially as far as rapid game 1 was concerned, did you feel the clock pressure that really got to you?
Yeah, of course, it's a shorter time control, so there's time pressure there. Yeah, I mean, I could have played a bit better the first game, but hey, it happens. And okay, in the second game, I didn't really get any chance. So yeah, I mean, he played better today.
You know, Magnus has been joking around with you in one after your beat your win against Nakamura. He was like, "We all want to be like Prag today." He also came to you after you beat Caruana and tapped your shoulder. How's your equation and your camaraderie with the world number one? And how was it like facing him?
Yeah, whenever I get chance, I try to discuss chess with him and learn from him. We managed. We got to be in the same team in Global Chess League, so there as well I was trying to discuss about chess. And yeah, I mean those moments were really special when he came to me after I bet Karu, and while he was playing a game, so that was definitely a special moment.
Nation prayed for Pragnathan. When he went for this knight x d4, that he just wants to make a draw. Yeah, I'm also fine with that. I mean,
fight. How does it feel like? Are you a little upset, or is this itself a victory?
We never upset because he was playing with the world number one, not just like that any player. Anyway, we accept the result.
So, did you watch the match?
Yes, I have watched.
The last time you spoke to Pragnathan before the third day finals, what was your advice to him, sir?
No, I never advise him regarding game. I advise him have a proper food and all that. Like that, I advise him.
And in terms of pressure tactics, do you sort of, being the elder, would you sort of give him advice to handle pressure during these final matches?
No. I never go on that.
So, did you manage to speak to him after the finals today?
No, I didn't speak so far.
What is your message for your son, sir?
Be confident. Next time we will see.
And what next? He will be attending more tournaments starting tomorrow.
He'll be going to Germany to play a tournament, World Rapid Tour.
Well, CNN News 18's Shivani Gupta spoke exclusively to Pragnathan's coach Ramesh Arbi. Let's take a look.
I'm joined by none other than Pragnathan's coach Ramesh Arbi is with us. Thanks a lot, Ramesh, for speaking to us yet again. We have been, of course, talking about the level at which Pragnathan is playing and how, as far as a final like this is concerned, after the two classical games were ended in a draw, it's not so much about the technical superiority or otherwise. It's more about just how much you can concentrate and the energy levels on the day. In fact, the first question I want to ask you is that both Magnus and Pragnathan have been talking a lot about exhaustion and needing rest. Why is that so key ahead of the tiebreaker today?
Yeah, it's generally like in major events, usually the players get some rest in between the matches. Like if you take cricket between two one-day internationals, they will have 1 or 2 days of rest, so the players body can recover and they travel to the new stadium and so on. But in such an important event like the World Cup, it is surprising that before the finals, they are not included one rest day. So ideally, like both players would have preferred after the semi-finals to have 1 day off to rest and recuperate, recollect their energy, but that has not happened so far. But we knew the schedule even when we agreed to play in the competition, so we cannot complain about it now.
So he's had actually no day off and literally no break as far as his very tense and very matches against top seeds is concerned. And people may assume that chess is, not a physical sport, so it doesn't take a lot of physical energy. But that's not the case. If you're concentrating that hard, you're practicing pre-game, pre-event, and then you're spending that much time where you have to focus on each and every move and you have to do so many calculations in your brain, it's physically draining.
Yes, there have been many instances where after intense competitions, players have lost close to 10 kilos in a matter of like 15 days or so. They have lost close to 10 kilos due to the intense amount of energy they are spending during the events. So it is very exhausting physically and emotionally. And in Prag's case, like emotionally, it is less draining because he has had good results in his favor. If the results are going against us, it can be very emotionally draining as well.
Yes.
Also, like the sense I get is like Magnus is also worried not only about his low energy level because of the exhaustion due to food poisoning and the lack of food intake, but also like he's very much aware that Prag in this tournament itself has had 3 successful outings in the tiebreaks. He defeated Nakamura quite convincingly, and subsequently, because Nakamura is one of Carlsen's toughest opponents, he has had very mixed results against Nakamura in shorter time controls, and having defeated Nakamura, I think that would have made a statement to Magnus as well psychologically, and subsequently he defeated Arjun and Caruana in 2 other tie breaks. So with that kind of history in this tournament, that will play its part in Magnus' mind as well.
Yeah,
so
but just to give a measure of how much even Magnus was feeling exhausted is that it almost seemed like in the second classical game yesterday, he went for a draw instead of pressing for a win. And wanted and has accepted so much in the post-match interview that he needed rest and he wants a day's rest. That works to Prag's advantage as well because he also gets that rest. And Prag, as you said, has been playing tough tiebreakers and has been coming up trumps. So do you think that as we go into the tiebreaker today, is it still maybe 60-40 in Magnus's favor because he was always considered the favorite, rapid also being a strength of his, but how would you, or would you say that it's 50-50 now?
I would say it is 50-50 because like Magnus is not as young as Prag. Prag is 18, he is like a young lion who is trying to grow into an adult lion. He's more hungry, more motivated, more energetic, and it is very easy for a youngster to bounce back in terms of lack of energy than for a 30 plus individual. So there are many things going in Prag's favor, but usually in any sport, all these factors will not play a huge role when the match actually begins. Then it is all about the individual person's nerves and capabilities.
Well, that was a classic game of draws, but we are slipping into a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned only on CNN News 18.
Meant to be and going to be a tough final, but in the end Pragnathan gave Magnus a good fight.
Yeah, it was a fantastic tournament and what a performance by Prag. You know, you're playing against world number 1 Magnus in the final. I think getting there itself was such a huge journey and accomplishment. So despite how the final ended, one can't take away what a brilliant run Prag has had in this World Cup.
All right, Tanya, could I also ask you, because we were asking my colleague Shivani this. Shivani spoke to Vishwanath Anand a few hours ago, actually, and one of his big takeaways was that if you look at the way that Prag has performed, this is just the beginning for him. Do you have any comments there?
I mean, the last year, all of last year, and his breakout has been in that performance of the champion chesser when he took down Magnus Carlsen for the first time. Then we also saw his brilliant play at the Olympiad in Chennai, where he played a role in winning the medal for the country, and he won an individual medal as well. And absolutely, I mean, what Vishy is saying, you know, let's not forget that this is the first time that an Indian who's not Vishy Anand makes it to the candidates. And we have a hope to fight for the World Championship one more time. And it's going to be Prag who's going to try and win the candidates and then fight for the ultimate title. So in some ways, it's really the beginning of the biggest dream that every chess player has, which is to get to the candidates.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Tanya. So I just want to ask you, talking about that candidates, the kind of experience that Pragnathan has got under his belt in this championship or in this World Cup campaign and the previous tournaments that he has played. Vishy was also talking about that in the last 3 tournaments, he's really upped his game and he's right up there, even his rankings, even though his rankings may not suggest so, but technically he's playing on par with some of the best in the world. So do you think this competition is going to give him a lot of confidence as he looks forward to Candidates 2024?
Oh, 100%. And, you know, even recently the way he played in the Global Chess League, where he was actually part of the same team as Magnus. And he won every single game, taking down some of the biggest names. In this World Cup, he beat world number 3, he beat world number 2, both Hikaru and Fabi. He took down some of the strongest grandmasters in the world. and also against Magnus in the Classical. Both games ended in a draw. It wasn't meant to be the World Cup winner this time, but for sure, I think this shows that Prag is no more a prodigy or a talent or a potential. He's arrived and he's up there with the world's best.
Absolutely. Pragnathan has arrived, and in fact this 18-year-old has very quickly become the new face of Indian chess. What do you make of his journey?
Just phenomenal. I mean, at 18 to have this kind of achievement, maturity.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching the morning news show on CNN News 18. Well, Harpic World Toilet Colleges are working towards the empowerment of sanitation workers who are often marginalized. Now, these colleges are also working towards improving the sanitation landscape of the country through key partnerships. Let's take a look at this special report all the way from Ladakh.
The Harpic World Toilet College in Leh is already training thousands of sanitation workers by upskilling them and linking them with dignified alternative livelihood options. It is creating a cadre of certified Swachhata ambassadors to provide customized sanitation solutions for households and communities.
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा क्योंकि मुझे सफाई का उतना नहीं मालूम था जितना यहाँ पे आके पता चला। जैसे हमें हाथ की सफाई रखने के लिए दस्ताना यानी कि ये ग्लव्स पहनना ज़रूरी है और ये गमबूट्स पहनना ज़रूरी है जब हम बाथरूम को साफ़ करते हैं तो हाथ कैसे धोते हैं।
Through its collaboration with the Municipal Corporation, the World Toilet College is improving the sanitation standards in the city by providing hands-on training on the best practices and safety measures to be followed by the workforce.
We have collaborated with the World Toilet College, Harpic, and I am happy to share that they have provided us trainings and workshops to our sanitation workers.
Harpic World Toilet Colleges across the country are giving sanitation workers a new lease of life.
Well, it's a wrap from my side. Stay tuned to CNN News 18 for